And just kind of as an example, I worked for Toyota, so technically I still have some Toyota certifications, right? I got many Toyota certifications over the years. Now that I don't work there anymore, I'm booted out of their system. So what that tells us is if you buy that car, it already has physically the capability of that feature working in said vehicle. But they're gonna tell you that, oh, you need to pay, let's say, $50 a month. And they'll go into the cloud or whatever it is in the software side of things, they'll turn it on. All right guys, welcome back inside the shop for another video. I feel like my face kind of looks funny. I was doing fluid film basically all day, so I had the respirator on. I can like still see the lines on my face. What I wanted to discuss today is the right to repair. This is, if you know, it's a big issue going on across the country with all the auto manufacturers. And we have a few things to look into. I think this one's gonna be interesting. Let's get into it. Alright guys, welcome back inside the shop for another discussion video. If you're new to the channel, welcome. When we do these discussion type videos, really what we do is we sit down, we talk about stuff, issues in the automotive industry, car culture, tools, that kind of thing. So today, as I said, I wanted to talk about the right to repair. I might be a little late to the party here as far as one of the brands and manufacturers that we're going to talk about is concerned, but I don't really care. This needs to be talked about, it needs to be discussed. In many other videos, we're not going to go down this rabbit hole because we've talked about it before, but in my opinion, the pinnacle of vehicles was late 90s, early 2000s. Somewhere around that 2010 era, and particularly now, cars have gotten crazy complicated. It's no secret. We got some other stuff we've been working on inside the shop. The Mountaineer, we actually got the lift installed. We got the 33s under there, so the new wheels and tires. We still got to work on clearancing a few things, fenders, shackles, that kind of thing, but we're getting it for the most part dialed in. I was able to sneak it over to an undisclosed location and do the alignment before we put the new shoes on. Rides pretty well, everything's pretty good there. We're also working on a review video for a new scan tool that was sent to us, so we'll get that coming out as soon as we can. I didn't mention this in the last couple of videos, you guys, but a lot of the footage that I actually had a memory card bite the dust and I lost like 4 videos worth of footage. So we're actually a little bit behind, but we're doing okay. So the Right to Repair Act, as many of you know, I used to work at the Toyota dealership. When you work for a dealer, they have their own certification. So you could be ASE certified, yes, as an independent, and at the dealer too. There's lots of ASE certified technicians, and when you're at the dealer, it kind of makes sense to get those because a lot of times if you pass the test, they'll reimburse you. So you get certified. But within that, there is dealer certifications. And just kind of as an example, I worked for Toyota, so technically I still have some Toyota certifications, right? I got many Toyota certifications over the years. Now that I don't work there anymore, I'm booted out of their system. So a couple times I've had customers call me and say, hey, could you do this recall? And it's like, no. And they're like, well, you worked at Toyota, aren't you Toyota certified? I am. But I'm booted out of the system. As soon as I quit, they took my login, they took my ID, all that stuff went away. So Toyota has the TechStream, which is all the Toyota proprietary software. There are things that you can do in there that you cannot do even with the best independent scan tool that you can buy. I don't care if it's a Snap-on, I don't care if it's a Launch, I don't care what you're paying or how many subscriptions you have. There's certain things, like recalls, that only the dealer can do. However, it's my belief, and we're going to talk about subscriptions and business models here in a second, it's my belief that if you pay for a car, general maintenance and most repair things, you should be able to have the freedom to go to whatever shop you want or fix it yourself if you're so inclined. Hyundai, that is the brand that, we're late to the party with this discussion, they just came out, I believe it's the Hyundai Ioniq. You cannot change the brake pads without having access to dealer proprietary software. Brake pads. We're talking literally brake pads. You can't do it. Now there are some workarounds. Other channels have showed this before, but on your typical caliper that has an integrated electric parking brake, that's the hang up. You have to release that electronic parking brake to be able to get the caliper off and get at the pads. So where Hyundai went way wrong, in my opinion, they made it so that no scanner other than the software that they have will do that. We're talking about changing brakes here. We're not talking about safety recalls or anything like that. So the only reason that companies would do this is to limit the market, so you have to go to them for everything. The dealers want you to go to them for everything. Now, of course, here we're talking about electronics integrated into this brake caliper, right? So you got to get the piston back electronically before you can get at the brakes. There are workarounds. Most of these systems are two-wire systems, so that means power, ground. You could actually hook up battery power and be able to retract the piston. And if you needed to change it and go back in for any reason, you could just swap it, reverse it, and it'll go back in. Anyway, there are some three-wire systems, but if you are good with electrical and you can read a wiring diagram, there are ways around these things. The point being, they're trying to make it so the average person cannot work on their own car. Cars have already gotten complicated enough. It's getting harder and harder to service them and work on them just with all the added technology nowadays. And I think we're getting to a point of no return. We've reached the pinnacle of efficiency and reliability in an internal combustion engine. And now, for whatever reason, which there are a lot of, we're starting to see the quality go down as the electronics go up. The heart of this issue, and this isn't just cars, it goes into your TV subscriptions is going to be a huge example here. It goes into lots of things, but businesses and markets are moving to a subscription-based system. Think of TV. Think of the services you pay on your TV. You have Hulu, you might have Netflix, you might have ESPN is a big one. If you have ESPN, ESPN is terrible. There's 10,000 different branches. You have ESPN2, ESPN Plus, and it's like, I have this subscription to ESPN, but I can't watch this sporting event because I don't have the second tier of this subscription-based system. So everyone knows it. There's subscriptions all over the place, and it's coming for auto repair. The example off the top of my head, the company that is the worst for having subscription-based systems, and from a business perspective, I understand it. It's a great moneymaker to have all of these subscription-based systems, but here's where the problem lies. Say you have heated seats in your Tesla, right? But you didn't pay for the model with heated seats. I'm coming back to this. The car already has it. It's all software being turned on and off. So if you get like one of the sporty model Teslas, like the Plaid or whatever the case may be, a lot of these features, trying to keep my thoughts straight here, you guys, but a lot of the features on these Teslas, heated seats is just an example so that you can visualize this, but let's talk about like the autopilot mode where the thing self-drives itself. All of the cars already have the technology and the hardware built into them to be able to do that. So what does that tell us? So what that tells us is if you buy that car, it already has physically the capability of that feature working in said vehicle. But they're going to tell you that, oh, you need to pay, let's say, $50 a month. And they'll go into the cloud or whatever it is in the software side of things. They'll turn it on. But then, if you quit paying, you decide you don't want it anymore, you don't want that added subscription onto your vehicle, they'll turn it off and you don't have access to it. Where I have a problem with this is, okay, let's say you bought a model Tesla that physically the hardware is not there to have the autopilot, whatever they call it, that feature, the self-driving feature. Sure, I get it, you didn't pay for it, but you're telling me the heated seats are already in the car and it already physically has the capability of doing these self-driving things. I bought the car. I paid for the car, and now, because you can get into the software, the brain of said car, you're going to say, yeah, but we want you to pay X amount every single month to have access to that. Even though you physically already paid for the car, which has the capabilities inside of it to achieve that function. To me, that's just a little bit shady. You already paid for the whole thing, and now they're going to make limited access based on their access to the data and the cloud and the, all the information floating around up here. The only place I could really see, like Hyundai's proprietary information and all of these things even remotely making sense is if you were leasing the vehicle. When you lease a car, you're essentially renting the car from the company, right? So then I could see it. If you're leasing the car and they say, nope, you're going to come to the dealership for all your maintenance, all your service, all your repairs. To me, that might be kind of fair because the car is basically a rental at that point. But if I pay for the car, I physically paid for it, why should I not be able to fix the car myself? Why should I not have the freedom to be able to take that vehicle anywhere I want for service? Maybe I had a bad experience at the dealership and I trust my local mechanic over here. Why can't I do that? To me, that's borderline criminal. And then you add all these subscriptions on top of it where my car is physically capable of doing X thing, but you turn it off up in the cloud because you want me to pay more money. Again, from a business standpoint, strictly talking monetarily, it's great, it's genius. But for the effect on the consumer and the fact that you paid for the car, I think it's borderline criminal. So that's what I had for this little discussion video, you guys. Again, we got other things coming up to the channel soon. The Mountaineer, we're gonna do a full breakdown on how we achieved the lift and how that all looks, how it all functions. We'll take you along as we go to clearance some of these things. We also are gonna head back over to our buddy JT's garage, and he's gonna help us fabricate some custom wheel well liners, because when we clearanced inside the front fenders, I had to make some cuts and there are now some holes. So he's a wizard with sheet metal, that kind of thing. We're gonna bend something up, make sure it looks good, and make sure we're protecting all the work that we did. If you guys enjoyed today's video, drop me a comment down below, like and subscribe if you've not already. And as always, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.